Everybody ready? Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The borough complied with the notice provisions of the Sunshine Law by adopting prior to January 10th of this year, a resolution prescribing the dates, time, and locations of all regular meetings of the commission. This meeting is one of the meetings listed in such resolution, and copies of the resolution were by January 10th filed with the borough. Again, with this being a working meeting as opposed to our commissioners' meetings, all comments from the public are going to be at the beginning. So this is your opportunity if you have, you're on the agenda. Okay. So if there's any comments or questions from the public, this is the time to ask them or to go. If there's any feedback, you want. Okay. I just want to real quick, I see two of my chicken ladies here. We are in process, we're still working on it. As you see, Jim is currently on vacation, he got back like 22 hours ago. And I was gone for the month of June. So we are just trying to pull some things together, but we have it all on our desk and we're discussing and confirming. But thank you all. Yeah.
I think internally we were working on activity questions that we have.
Yeah, because we finally got the resolution that you all posing and just kind of putting back in some more.
Okay, great. So there's no discussion on the agenda today, chickens?
No.
Okay, cool. However, if we come up with questions, obviously we can up to you.
Yes, I have two contacts. Okay, that one to discuss more, I do get that. Perfect, okay. All right, so seeing that there's no public comment, we will move on to ordinances. So again, we did not have our July meeting because we did, oh, sorry, when you was, sorry, go ahead.
The motion to file a tax collector municipal court and zoning officer reports. So moved.
What's that?
It's only two of us.
Okay, so now I can say that we did not have our July commissioners meeting because there would have been quorum. We did not have enough us here. And we decided, since we had this already on the books, two of us were going to be here, which is why we're going to be introducing 3 ordinances, which is not generally customary for working meetings, but because of the summer schedule, we just wanted to get things rolling, because ordinances need to be read twice. So that's why there are 3 ordinances. Well, if you would like to. So, yeah.
We have the first reading of ordinance 1836, amending chapter 217 of the Borough Code Recreation.
So real quick, what this is adding just a $50 fee for the remote control car park registration fee. I don't, what was the fee before? There was no, it's new, establishing. Okay, it's establishing the fee. Otherwise, nothing else is changing. The remote control car park is over on the west side. It's a new space that Marcus Bell has been working on with the help of the borough to create. They're essentially little cars that are all electrical, and there's a lot of STEM work that can be done to create the cars and build the cars, and then also a lot of like engineering for the kids to help create the track. And so it's a relatively good spot of land. It's across from the community garden on Cattell, thank you, on Cattell. So this is just establishing that fee to participate in that activity. The second reading for that will be at the August 3rd, and public meeting, that'll be awesome.
Commissioner Evans Riley? Yes. Mayor Shalata?
Yes.
In the first reading of ordinance 1837, amending chapter 287, section 6, electric vehicles, service and supply equipment.
So essentially, we have found out that since they put in our chargers, we have not, since they went in and changed the fee. And we found that we are not charging what you're supposed to be charging for that, so it's kind of coming out of our pocket. So we are going to change the language in the resolution, as opposed to it being a straight exact fee, it'll be based on.
So what we did, we're changing the language in the code to reflect that our fees for electric vehicle service stations are going to be amended by resolution. So it's easier for the borough to address those fees and update them as necessary. So I anticipate at the next meeting upon adoption of this ordinance or another resolution adopted currently with new updated fees.
And these are going to be based off of feedback from Cross County Connection and the Transportation Management Association. They're the vendors to figure out really what is the appropriate fee structure. This isn't us making it up, it's us asking what is the appropriate fee. All right.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Henderson Riley?
Yes.
Mayor Shalata Ward?
Yes, and the public reading and the public session for that will be August 3rd.
Sure, yeah, it's just. Thank you.
Introducing ordinance 1838, classifying AI computer nodes as prohibited use.
And it's AI computer nodes and the DAS. So right now you will see in New Jersey a growing list of municipalities that are passing regulations restricting data centers and their technology related to data centers, data center nodes. The technology is evolving at an extremely fast pace. So right now, the borough is considering placing a full-out ban on data centers in the borough right now, with the thought of potentially placing conditions and looking at restrictions moving forward. But to give us time to do that, they're looking at the ban right now, and making data centers and the AI nodes a prohibited use within the borough.
And the language in this ordinance was also worked on by our planner, correct?
Yes, this ordinance was prepared by myself in conjunction with our planner, looking at the definitions, and they are very similar to other municipalities, ordinances who are likewise establishing prohibitions on data centers within the boundaries of their municipalities.
And we have brought this up at some previous sessions before, but just to add that I did read in the New York Times this morning that New York State had today made a 1-year pause on these for similar reasons, just it's moving so quickly until kind of more regulations, et cetera, come out. Also, I know that there is a large investment being considered by the county for water infrastructure. And so as more is being found out, I would really like to hear more about the environmental impact of this and what that would mean for the county and our town. So this feels like the right moment to pause, see what all this looks like, get ahead of it before it goes any further.
Commissioner Henderson Riley?
Yes.
Mayor Shalata Ward? Following resolutions ratifying policy covering retroactive refund of taxes for 100% single veterans.
Yeah, it's something that just like established what's been our longstanding policy for the honor of totally disabled veteran exemption. We didn't have it formally coded, so it just goes on. Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Appointing Gabriella Brazel as part-time service librarian.
Yes.
Authorize the submission of the grant application, New Jersey DOT improvements to White Avenue.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna do a roll call, introducing the 2026 business improvement district budget. Commissioner Henderson Riley,
Yes.
Mayor Solana Board.
Yes. So the business improvement district is Collingswood Partners. That's,
Thank you.
it's just to make it very clear for everyone. They have been, they are a nonprofit, they operate. The director of is also Lindsay Ferguson, who also has other hats for the borough, but they operate as a nonprofit, they have their own budget, they do their own audit, and this is us approving the budget that they have put together.
And approving the rescheduled Independence Day celebration.
Yes.
Yes.
And we have one that is not on the agenda. It is the resolution proposing ordinance 1830 38 data centers to the planning board and we're in review.
Yes, yes.
And the final approve the payment of bills as presented by the treasurer.
I am not voting to approve the following bill. For Dilworth for the Collingwood Foundation of the Arts until I have answers and opinion regarding potential conflict of potential conflict of interest from our.
So that will not pass, there's not a majority today. It'll-
So they can't pay it.
But, yeah, you can't pay that specific one. We don't have a majority.
Next, we have, the Rotary made a request for peace poll, and so we asked a representative from the Rotary to come and kind of talk us through what that would look like, what the request is.
I'm Faye, I'm the current president for the Collingswood Rotary Club. And one of the projects we'd like to, so in case whoever doesn't know about Rotaries, one of Rotary's missions are to bring food business together in our small little boroughs or wherever we're located. So one of the projects we have this year would be to put up peace poles. I have pictures of them if you want to see.
You say peace poll plural?
Yes, we were thinking two. One at the beginning of Collingswood and, or doesn't have to be, it could be at school or at the library or at we're open to suggestions on this.
Okay, and how, okay, so you keep going.
So here's the some pictures of the peace poles. This is actually Morristown's, Morristown did it this last year. This peaceful project was presented by Rotary as a peace mission to bring, not only community, but the world, in our community together. And so you can read what that's
And
about.
this, I can't quite tell from this photo, but there's a voting box. Is this in front of their municipal building?
I'm not sure. I think so. I think it's so square.
Two additional will be installed in middle school at the community house.
And what they were hoping to do was to really involve the community. The borough office, the school, maybe even finding a way to get, so it's Woodland is part of the school system, right?
For the high school, they are sending district
They
first.
send it to the high school. So, you know, as many pieces of the community involved in either the installation, the dedication of these poles.
Those are a lot of stakeholders. I would encourage you to see if those stakeholders would like to be involved. Because that's a pretty heavy lift, getting everybody to show up, who wants it where. and see if the school district has somewhere that they would like to put it. Upkeep is always the concern, right, for something like this, making sure the grass around it is up, that's more work you gotta do, or where is it, vandalism, is there gonna be a camera on it, things like that. So finding a partner that, like, sure, I really wanted here, that might be the school district, I don't know. So I would maybe shop around to see who may have the interest in putting it on their property. If we would like to do it, then we can partner and do that together. But I don't want to recommend a spot in town that's our land if the district might have a spot that they wouldn't mind doing it on.
Okay,
Just because we do have to consider upkeep and, so just before we start saying, yeah, it's gonna be at the corner of, see if the school district would like to do something.
okay, school district, what about the library, would I ask, what is that considered?
Library would be grass, we'd have to bring concrete.
They can be surface mounted as well, at least that is considered very concrete, but these poles can also be surface mounted, they don't have to be in the ground.
I read on your, there are 250,000 around the world. Can you tell us more like about our surrounding communities? Is there, I know this is Morristown, but are there others around?
There are, yeah, I think, sure, well, Laurel, I believe did one, these are mainly growing that are doing, this. So, Laurel, there's so many in South Jersey that have done it, but, you know, I didn't, although I read about it, I cannot remember, I think there's a good 10 clubs out of all of the Rotary clubs we have in New Jersey that have at least done that, because that's what we were talking about at the president's training this year.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, and we can also look into this, but knowing where some of the others were and if those worked out as good spaces, what's at the library, what's at the school, like a friend's school or something makes a ton of sense. Going at a friend's school, community house or something like that. Just knowing where the others are, I think would be helpful.
Okay, I can do that, and then where would I send you?
Yeah, if you want to send that to us, and then, it would also be helpful if you have a specific space, if it is the library that you want to go in during the schools, we can also help put you in touch. I think as the mayor mentioned, having the stakeholders involved, so we're not, violently making any decisions.
But you know, a couple of members had said this school would be a great place. A bunch of the members said, what about where the fountain is? Or what about
It's
where
where
the,
the, so consider that the fountain can get hit. By a clock. Because the fountain gets hit all the time.
oh, does it?
Ask how many times we built it. Steve's not here right now.
I did not know that, okay.
So,
So what, everyone's gone for summer right now.
Yeah.
So once August, our meetings start up again and everyone's there, then I can get a better consensus of what people think then.
I definitely think this is something worthwhile with discussing. I just, with this as large a scope as you've mentioned of all the people involved, it might take a little bit of time to wrangle all those different people. But finding a space for it, I think is your first, and I would say probably start with one. Let's see how it goes with one.
Okay.
Make sure it's vandalized, that we can upkeep it properly, things like that before.
What about the space where, the, what is it called, Sarah's grocery store is? So it's not any. What about there? Is that private?
No, that's for
Something to think about.
I would be interested to see if the high school, now the high school sort of merging their businesses and having it like by their flag or something, something for all on their campus for the kids to see every day. That might be something they're interested in, that we'd obviously supportive of, but would be on their land. So I don't wanna claim, again, I think you should do a little bit more homework about who's interested in having it on their property. And then if the schools say, no, we don't want to, then we'll kind of square back to places that we think would be appropriate, keep an eye on it.
Thank you. All A's.
But yeah, it's a lovely idea. Let's just get a little more info.
That's great info. Yeah, I didn't know where to, we didn't know where to
Let's
start.
start, yeah. When you both, I was like, this is a bigger discussion. So, thanks.
Daniela,
So, yes.
I have
and all
a
my questions.
comment. Yeah, I think this was meant for the discussion part, but they didn't get it in quick enough. So, this is from Leah Foreman, 501 South Vineyard Boulevard. She says a group of citizens wants to start the petition process to put liquor licenses on the ballot in November. They have the petition language drafted, and want to check whether the language was correct, and who should they email that to check if the language is correct.
So we're copy on this with you, Caitlin, that you had put together.
So I had, I can't give legal advice to the public, but for the liquor license referendum, it's not the same type of referendum where you have to include all of the language in an ordinance or a different type of voter initiative referendum. The liquor license referendum is pretty straightforward. There is a statutory clause that goes on the ballot if circulate this petition and the petition is successful. That language, I can provide to Holly because that's basically from the statute. It's not as precise as what the other referendum language is. So provided that the petition contains language that shows the people signing the petition know exactly what they are signing the petition in favor for, you should meet the standards. Best practices to include the exact same language that's in the statute.
And remind us if the amount of the correct number of signatures, which is upwards of.
So the process. So in order to get a referendum on the ballot by November, the petition would have to contain signatures of 15% of the voters from the last general election. There's debate on the numbers. Are we using the ballots cast or the votes cast? If you use the ballot cast, that is the number of voters who came to vote. If we use the number of votes cast, if you vote at a general election, sometimes you can vote for more than one person for general assembly. You have multiple options. So if you look at your votes cast, it's more than the actual voters that turned out. So heard the Camden County elections, it's the number of ballots cast. So looking at your past numbers, we slightly over 1,100 signatures, I believe, or 1,011 signatures.
1011.
1,011 is the minimal threshold. But if you're circulating petitions, the people who are signing petitions have to be registered voters within your municipality. So any petition I've ever seen, there is always a large handful of signatures that are ultimately tossed because they're just not registered to vote, or maybe they're registered to vote in a different municipality. So it's always best practice to get a considerable number as a buffer for those petitioners' signatures, just so you meet the minimal threshold. As far as timelines, you have to submit the petition to the municipality. Our clerk Polly then has to have time to go through the petition, to look at it, to confirm the signatures, meet those requirements, the number of signatures that the registered voters in the municipality. And then what the Board of Commissioners would be obligated to do is, if you meet that minimum number threshold, they would have to pass a resolution referring the ballot question to the Camden County Clerk of Elections. The latest date that could possibly be done is August 21st. We do have a meeting on August 19th. So if we pass a resolution on that date, it could be to the county in time. But in order to give our clerk ample time to review the petition, she would need that by August 7th.
Oh, yeah.
by 12 p.m. noon on August 7th. Even better if there's more time for her.
And because of the kind of referendum question it is, and because of our. There is a prohibition if it does not pass, it cannot be put on the ballot again for 5 years.
Right, so, once it goes to the ballot, it's a simple majority. There will be a question printed on the ballot asking if, voters in the municipality would like to see the sale of, plenary retail liquor licenses in town. So those are your bars, restaurants, types of liquor licenses. Majority vote, more vote in favor, then the municipality would pass illegal ordinances. If more people disfavor it, then the borough would be preempted from making any actions or move forward with another referendum or process related to that for a minimum of 5 years.
Well, thank you for going through all those boundaries. Yes. Leah Foreman, I hope that answered all your questions.
I have an address.
It is 501 South Vineyard Boulevard.
Is there anything else discussed? That was a discussion item, beyond just answering.
She said thank you.
Foreman's, question. Is there anything else?
There have been a bunch of emails that, we've got up on, other referendums, et cetera. There's a lot that I was catching up on vacation, but I think that was a good summary.
Yes, and this is pertaining only to the liquor license.
Yes.
There were some questions about other, ballot initiatives, like referendum questions. Those would have to meet the same.
No, so there's different regulations.
Okay.
So yeah,
Alright,
so-
some of the emails got some confusing.
yeah, so if there's an interest for a voter initiative referendum, that would be something that.
That's not liquor related.
Yeah, the liquor licenses
Essentially.
are covered by different statutes. But for if residents want to see the borough adopt a specific ordinance, they could go through a petition process as well. Those petition processes have to be more precise and they have to contain the exact language of the ordinance that they would want to see the municipality adopt. There are different threshold requirements. You need 10 to 15% of, or under 10 to 15% gets it on the next general election regardless of when you turn it in. 15% or more could trigger a special election. I would encourage anyone who wants to do a voter initiative referendum to contact the commissioners before you do that, because that's a lot of work to do. And you might have support from commissioners to do it in a process. And I will say that, sometimes with voter initiative referendums, if you're not looking at ordinances that have already been adopted, there are issues that, you could be potentially trying to get the borough to adopt an ordinance that might not be enforceable, so have certain authority to enforce certain things. So, you could go through the whole process, it could get on the ballot, and then we could wind up being sued. Because we're not able to enforce something. So if you're considering that, I highly recommend meeting with the commissioners and talking about that and trying to do a collaborative process.
So what's the process? What has been in the past? What's your process? When those things come to you, you're the one meeting with the resident who would, say, here's, this is the petition that I want to circulate. Is there, does the borough have a process for, like, okay, we see what you want to do this, we want to have a meeting first, something to kind of, because these, had it not been for the emails going back and forth, I don't even know if we would have been aware. So,
I requested that the ordinance that was going to be circulated was sent over or forwarded to you.
okay,
If they haven't sent it yet,
and that's what's,
then that's where it stands.
okay,
And the timeline's the same, 7 due to me by the seventh of June,
For the
so
general.
same timeline.
Right. And again, though, it sounds like there seems to be a little more leniency if it's not a liquor specific, that even if it got into you in say October, if it's below 15%, it would just be ready for the
The
next general.
next general election. But if it's 15% or higher, it could trigger a special election, but that carries costs for the taxpayers.
So, right,
Okay, we have not seen one, so, correct.
all right, thank you, Lily, appreciate that. We're all learning about our civics, we're learning more about civics every day here. All right, anything else on petitions? All right, project demonstration.
Sure, Hasker. Yes, so this is in regards to the intersection of Collins and Browning, which has been a topic of discussion here and elsewhere, as well as where Collins meets Meadowwood. They're linked, but also where Collins and Browning, which was slightly outside of the scope of the travel plan project. Because we wanted a little more information on how to proceed. We asked the county to perform a traffic study, recommendations on treatments that would help with what we see to be. And what they found to be, some crash data. They did that study, it's still in draft form, but, there are some recommendations of potentially bump outs, which for those who don't know, they make the corners wider, they pinch the roads, that those have this slower turning radius.
And also so people are walking, have less distance that they're actually in the street.
Correct. So those are suggested treatments. They are not cheap or quick. So we are looking at getting permission to do a much cheaper and quicker option of a demonstration project for this, which would put up the temporary delineators as bump outs, so folks kind of get used to the process. We can then track how folks are handling, is it better? And then demonstration projects, so study demonstration projects, and then that'll put us in line to hopefully get grant funding. We like how the demonstration is working, so.
So that would be similar to the crosswalk, across Collins, right before Patco, at a farmer's market, which we kind of went through that process, that we had the ramps that were plastic ramps with those little orange cones. And then a year later, actually built the bump out, which is what's there right now. That's that process.
Yep, allows us to do like a little test run while we apply for funding. Similarly, we had questions about adding like a pinch point bump out where Meadowwood meets Collins, because folks tend to pass on the right. Schools are there, obviously. To our knowledge, the county is amenable to adding delineators there as well. So that whole run should see pinching, sort of traffic calming measures, the temporary versions. Hopefully, we're hopeful we'll be invited before school starts.
Wonderful, thank you.
And the key for the messaging is these are temporary.
They really are wonderful ways to test if the measures are helpful. Give us time, but then explain to people how these things work. Some folks are aware of these kinds of treatments. Some folks aren't, and they find it sort of agitating at first, which is kind of the point, but it also allows us to work on some messaging for the public to understand why these things are helpful.
And the process of it, getting used to it and seeing where it would be and.
Also, just kudos to you, Cass, because you had reached out to the county and they did do the study, which they can't do all of the studies that are requested. So thanks for being the most.
And thanks to them, they work pretty quickly to us.
They really did.
I'm going to, Amy alluded to it and, the county had a press conference on it yesterday. But I just want to kind of touch base on it here. The county is proposing the largest investment in the watershed and water infrastructure in the district of Kingman County. It's a $400 million 10-year project to work on sewage infrastructure, dredging. The ultimate goal is to have Cooper River be swimmable for the next generation. they worked with an amazingly large group of stakeholders to come up with their plan. They're, speaking of referendums and things, they're gonna be on your ballots. They proposed it at the county commissioners meeting yesterday. There will be a ballot referendum asking to increase the open space tax by 1 penny. Currently, the open space tax in Camden County is 2 cents. Our neighbors in Burlington and Gloucester are 4 cents. So their proposal is to increase it by 1 penny to 3 cents. The average would be an increase of $18 per household per year. So, you know, $5 a quarter for homeowners. And that would generate $7 million, which the same way that we go to iBank, and that's what we're doing for our water treatment plants, there is a state agency that they would be able to apply for funding to do a lot of these infrastructure projects. And $7 million a year dedicated, that 1 penny would be dedicated to pay back all of the work to be done for this project, along with state grants, federal grants, private partnerships. It's a really exciting project, especially for Collingswood, because we border the river. And especially with last week, everyone saw what happens when we get a torrential amount of rain so quickly. And especially the county's gonna be busting up roads to improve sewer lines. There's so many opportunities for partnerships that if they're already gonna be repaving, that we can get in there to do work that we were gonna be doing anyways, without having to necessarily pay the pavement costs and the debris. And we're still in like the planning phase of all of this, but there would be a huge help to our community, to the quality of our drinking water, to the treatment of our sewer water, of our black water. So I encourage residents to ask questions, and we're gonna try with the green team to kind of get out some more one-pagers and some more Q&As as to how it'll affect you, what you can expect to see, what Collingswood can expect to see. Yeah, just want to share.
And that'll be on the November ballot.
That will be on the November ballot, yes. So you're gonna see potentially at least one, if not, who knows how many. So make sure you turn your ballots over. We will, and hopefully in our October, we have our forum in October. I'm thinking our forum in October is probably going to have a FAQ on everything you're gonna see on the map. And just explain it all, because sometimes it gets very confusing as to what the different referendums are. If they're local, if they're county, if they're from the schools, and just kind of put all that information on it. We have nothing for executive session. Motion to adjourn. Second. Thank you for coming. Thank you.